and welcome along to Mondo Chelloveck Movies. My name is John, and this video is going to be about the sign-ups release of Suspiria on 4K, which I personally think is the greatest horror 4K of all time. Agreed, that's a bold statement to make, but I'll go into a few details which I think will back my claim up. Firstly, I'll read some blurb from the back, which I don't usually take much attention of, if I'm honest, but this one really caught my eye. This is one of the most beautiful horror films ever made, and this release is one of the most beautiful Blu-ray releases ever mounted by any distribution company, big or small. This is the definitive release of the film to own, bar none. Also, it says, which you never hear this very often, Synapse Films brings their award-winning restoration of Dario Argento's horror masterpiece to 4K ultra-high definition. So that's some bold claims right there. Claims that you don't really see on the back of a 4K case. Synapse Films' beautifully restored version of Dario Argento's Suspiria was completed with the supervision and approval of the film's director of photography, Luciano Tavoli, now available for the first time ever on home video in a true 2160 4K presentation with high dynamic range, remember that one, and a new Dolby Atmos remix. Now, this is, you can buy this in other shape or forms in Italy. You know, they do have some 4Ks out there, but this is the only one that has HDR in it. Now, HDR is the star. This movie looks one of the most colourful movies you will ever see in any shape or form, horror or otherwise. And it needed to have HDR in it because the colours need to be seen in the way that you're seen on this one. So the other ones, forget all them ones, they are just not worth a light when it comes to this one. They might have great look to them, presentations, but you need the HDR. So if you're ever going to track down Suspiria, do go for this release. Just forget all the other ones. It's got everything you would want to know about Suspiria on the one disc, and also you cannot believe the picture quality on here. When this was first announced, Synapse said they're going to take the time with it, and it will be out when it's out. They weren't going to go in any pressure. There was no set times for it was going to be out. And I do believe, because this seemed to take forever to come out, I do believe this took about a year to master and get to the place where they wanted it to be. And you can see that they put the most amount of work probably on any restoration for a horror film, I'm guessing at this point, is being done on this. To get this movie looking so good, because I used to have this on Blu-ray and it looked quite good. I've had it on DVD and it looked quite good. Now, when I saw it on Blu-ray, I thought, is there any point getting the 4K? Because the Blu looked quite nice to me. But I did hear loads of good things about this, and the fact that they were taking so long about it, and they were talking about the fact they only wants to put HDR in it, which obviously the other releases hadn't, because I was going to go for the other releases, and I thought, hang on a minute, I'm going to wait for this HDR, because when I got me 4K TV, and I realised what HDR can do to the picture, I thought, this has got to be seen in HDR. Now, as well as the colours, obviously the dark levels in here, they are outstanding as well. So this movie is a winner in every shape or form. I do think this movie is shot that well. You could take any scene, any screenshot from here, and you could put it on a picture on your wall, and it would look sensational. It's just such like an artistic movie as well. It's a bit like an art house one when I come to think of it. Yes, it's a great horror movie. It's more like a fairy tale. So this movie does have some good gore in it as well. It was a Section 3 ban video nasty. And getting back to the soundtrack on here is one of the best soundtracks you'll hear from Goblin. And I've got the CD actually. I should get the vinyl if I can get it. And I just love it. Just love everything about it. But to get it in Dolby Atmos is just the icing on the cake. This is region free as well. So if you get this one, you do know it's going to play on your system. As I've said before, I think this is one of the best uses of HDR that I've ever seen in any movie, never mind a horror movie. But this version here, you get two discs in here. You get the 4K and you get the Blu-ray. This is the alternative art, which is the original cover, which is brilliant. Love that cover. And yeah, so you do get a booklet for the Synapse films in here. Got some great movies in there. I think Synapse is a great company actually, and they do put the spade work into these restorations. And you get tons of extras on the back here. What I'll probably do with this is I'll probably try and take a picture of the extras and overlay them, because I don't think you'll see them on the back of this box because it's quite small print. But yeah, so this movie, like I say, has got everything going for it. Now, when I put this on, when I originally saw this for the first time, I thought, right, I know what this movie could look like, and I was hoping it would look a little bit like what I thought it could get, what it could bring to the table with 4K. But I was just so blown away. The colours in here are just, like I say, the star of the show. What Dario Argento did, and I don't know how he's done most of it, is He's filmed it with usually three colours, like sort of on the screen at the same time. And the colours in here, I've never seen any colours like it, like the yellows, the reds, the blues, the greens, everything is just so vibrant. And even the ones where there's not that much, well, every scene has got colour in it. It's as if he's took that much attention to every scene when he's set it up. Probably none of his other movies look this good, although he's got some good set pieces in movies. This movie is like a joy to watch from start to finish. You kind of feel as well when you watch it. When I was watching it for the first time, I watched this twice now, that you go back and you say, right, you're just staring at it. You can't take your eyes off it because you're amazed by what it sees. I say that the picture quality, the sharpness as well, the detail in it. It's just perfection. If you want to know what the best way to go on a movie is, go back to the original negatives, of course. I mean, AI is a thing. I don't think it's going to be a big thing in the horror realm, but this is what you need. You need somebody who's got the eye for it to say, right, this is the best I can get of the information from the negative. You can get the negative, clean it up, and make sure that this is just brought off. And you get the original photographer in. He's going to oversee it and say, right, that's good, or the director and say that's good or that's not good. That's not what we wanted. We didn't want it to look that blue or that green. We wanted it to be down a touch. But this none of the colours in here look overblown at all, even though it's saturated, but not in a bad way. It's just colour all over the place. The reds, there's a red brick wall, which I'll put a picture on here somewhere. When it comes on the screen, it's just so bold. I mean, who remembers the days of VHS when you used to put red stuff on the screen? It was just flickering all over the place. It was a right mess. VHS could not handle colours, especially reds and blues, like vibrant blues. I'd struggle with them as well. But obviously, them days are long gone. And you can sit down and you can sort of put these 4Ks on, especially this one, in my estimations. You can just have such a blast with it. You get sort of benefit from everything. You get a benefit from the Dolby Atmos because of the soundtrack being so inclusive. You also get the fact of this HDR just working miracles with the colors and also the dark scenes. It's got everything going for it. It's pin sharp. They've done an immaculate restoration on here. In fact, the people who are behind this, I would like to go online and find out if they've done anything else with any other movie. It doesn't matter what the movie is. I would like to see what their work is on other things so I could see what they could bring to the table on other releases. I find myself gushing about this movie and this transfer every time I talk about it. But I wanted to make a sort of separate video on it just to say and kind of reinforce, because what I'm going to do is I'm talking about my 4K horror movies. I'm not going into too much detail about them, but I'll show you which ones I've got in 4K. Might give you a bit of heads up to see what's out there. But I thought I'd do this one before I did that to say, look, if you want to know, in my opinion, and I've looked at quite a few horror films, I haven't looked at them all, I haven't looked at like some of the newer ones, but the newer ones will look good. This is from 1977, and it looks, apart from I mean, some of the clothes they wear obviously gives it away, but you would think this was shot tomorrow. It just looks that sensational. And obviously, before I would, if I did this video and ranked all the 4Ks, which would be too many to rank, this one would be number one. I've talked about this quite a few times, but I want to make the standalone video to highlight the fact that this movie is so good. And if you're a fan of, just look at, some people are fans of 4K because they want to see the best looking pictures and they go into it for that, which is great. That's part of the reason why I picked 4K, because I want to see these movies looking great. Never thought these movies would ever come out. There's that many cult horror movies coming out in 4K now. It's amazing. Barn Video Nasties, the whole lot. Nothing is untouchable when it comes to 4K, which is the right way for me. A bit like Blu-ray, when Blu-ray started off, wasn't touching any of the cult ones, but as soon as it became established, all the cult stuff on there came on there. And then it's happening with 4K now. Now I think last year and this year especially are going to be big years for horror 4Ks. And I'm talking about older horror movies. I'm not talking about new stuff. New stuff looks great. You know it's going to look great. But this is a big eye opener because I don't think that new horror movies are like filmed with this level of sort of intenseness in the sort of what the picture looks like. Dario Argento must have slaved over this movie to how good it looked because you can see it in every frame of this movie. So that's my views on this movie. I personally think this is the greatest horror 4K that's ever been released. So thanks for watching. You take care, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.